Hello, everybody. weebrabbit here, and welcome back to the Otaku Overlord podcast, episode 51. This week, I'm excited to be here. I think we have some good stuff to talk about. Some stuff that we had mentioned that we had been looking forward to for a while finally came out. I think that's pretty cool. I'm excited to talk about some of the stuff. I'm excited for some of the stuff that's coming up. And this week, we even have an interesting topic of the week that it's funny because you guys will see it's a recommendation, but it's kind of a mixed recommendation, which makes it quite interesting. We'll see that when we get there. Before that, though, of course, my co-host is here, Legend Jonathan. How are you doing? Take it away.
Y'all have been doing all right. How about you?
I've been doing fine. As I said at the top, I'm excited. All that good stuff.
Yeah. So I'm gonna take it away from here.
You're just gonna steal the I'm like freaking stammering here. You're gonna steal the attention from me. You're gonna steal a spotlight and make it all about yourself. No, I was kidding. No, that's fine.
I'm gonna start off my week.
You're just like sandbagging me. You're like, anyway, I'm trying to talk about what I did. Damn it.
Okay.
No, but for reals, yeah.
Okay. I played the remake of Super Mario RPG, which we had talked about last week. That I was playing the original in preparation of it.
Yeah, so you can kind of get like a little bit of an idea of like, oh, what's changed? How's it hold up? And a lot of good stuff. Just want to say it that I also played it. That was also going to be part of my week. But what did you think? And we kind of take turns back and forth.
I thought it was pretty good. I think it's pretty good, like update to the game. You know what I mean? Like the way everything they did with this remake. I think it's a pretty good like little upgrade to it. And I think it's just adding on to something that I feel was already really great, and it's just making it better. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think we said last week the original still holds up, right? But regardless, this is such a nice, like you said, nice polish, a nice little extra layer. Because I don't know, like you had said, you got to a certain part, you play a little bit. I had looked at the game not too long ago, honestly, because that's the same thing. I didn't really mention it. I didn't really think it was worth mentioning because it was just kind of like jumped in, looked around on an emulator, and kind of was like, oh yeah, this is what it's like, and but yeah, I was playing it, and then yeah, it's just so crazy because it's like, okay, does it follow like the original, basically, right? And it's so crazy because it's like really faithfully redone. Like, yes, it adds some stuff here and there, kind of thing, but it feels like it really is just like an updated version. It's not like, oh my God, it's a total, goes in a different direction or like, it doesn't add anything. Like, no, it's cool because it's literally the game you know and love, but it's like, okay, let's just kind of add some polish to it. Let's put it in 3D. But like everything is still there. Like the sound effects are still there. The cutscenes still follow mostly. When you remember, like I love near the beginning. I wouldn't really call it a spoiler. Well, first, the intro. The one that if you like leave if you leave the game, it'll just like, keep like playing like the little I don't even know what you would call it, but like I know in like arcades it was like the little demo mode, right? Whatever you call it. But the thing where like Princess Peach gets kidnapped. And then like Mario like jumps from like out the door and he like runs after her. It's literally like what they showed in like the trailer, the reveal trailer. It's literally like the same cutscene, but just in 3D, which is like really cool. And then same thing with it's right at the beginning. Like I said, it's not really a spoiler, but when you fight Bowser, and then you kind of get like blown away or whatever, and then you come back, and that's when our antagonist. The Smithy gang shows up, and it's like that giant sword is just like stabbed into like Bowser's castle, right? And like it's all the same where Mario like looks up, he has a little like scared reaction, and then the sword like chases him away, and he's standing like on the hill watching and all that stuff, right? Like the only difference is that this time I think like instead of just showing like, oh, he's like on the hill watching, like they show him like climb up the hill, little cliffside. They had like a little animation. He climbs up the cliff, but he kind of just stands there and watches from a distance. But it's just like so faithful. And like the music is just like polished too, where like when you're like on a little map that you're gonna go from like Mario's house to like Bowser's castle or stuff like that. The little
The music, yeah.
yeah, it's just so good. I'm like, oh my god, it's so good. So I'm enjoying it. I think it's fun. I think it is great. How like I said, it's just updated, but it feels really faithful. It feels really well polished. Everything you love is there. And yeah, I just hope that it brings in like a new audience. And I
I
hope for
hope
the old
so.
audience, yeah, I hope for the old audience, I hope they just like get to relive that game, but like through like a new lens.
Hmm. I totally agree with you, man. Like I totally agree. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't play too much, just a bit, obviously, because the game came out not too long ago. But
Hmm.
from what I played, I was just having fun, and I was like, this is really cool. I'm liking it. It's a really good like remake from what I've seen so far. Obviously, we talked about last time. Haven't gotten like to the end yet, so I don't know if they're gonna like maybe throw something else in. That would be kind of cool.
That
But
would be pretty cool.
for now, everything's the same old as far as I've gotten, pretty
Hmm.
much.
Same, because I haven't really gotten far in the remake at all. Like I think I barely even like am about to maybe approach like the first boss. But even then, like yeah, like everything's been pretty much the same. And there's nothing really much to say about it. It's just they just added some quality of life stuff. Like I know like things during the battles.
Hmm.
You can see your XP on the right whenever you defeat enemies, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, they
And
added some little things like that that are pretty cool because I'm like, kind of makes sense because some of those games back then could be kind of obtuse. And you would kind
mhm,
of have to like dig through menus and stuff, you know what I mean?
just to check, yeah.
And things feel a bit more like accessible now, which is kind of cool. I think the one thing that's different, but I'd say like it's a pretty good change. It's not like a big old like, oh my God, this is so different. You know what I mean? It's fine, I think.
Yeah, it's just like a little change of anything.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's pretty much it, honestly. Like that's like the two things I feel like you can kind of even say that those are like the biggest, or not biggest, but like those are like the noticeable changes.
Yeah.
Because when it's like cutscenes, like they're animated and that's kind of it. But like everyone kind of knew that from like the trailer, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that yeah. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about it, honestly.
Yeah, there's not much to say yet since we're not too far into it. Maybe it would be like
Mm-hmm.
later, like, oh, spoilers, this was different, or like, oh my God, it really did change the ending. But for now, it's like,
Hmm.
okay, it started off the way you would expect, and it's following and it's being faithful and enjoying it, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
cool. And then what about after that?
So I actually played this game very recently, and I never even thought I was ever gonna play this game because at first I thought like the gameplay from what I had seen was very, I don't know, kind of crappy, and I just didn't have interest in it.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2.
Oh,
And
nice.
I played that with a friend because he mainly plays it, and so me and him wanted to play it together.
Yeah.
And so if people are wondering what the game's basically about,
Is it about
it's
Dragon Ball?
overall it kind of is. That's
But
where
but
I feel
all
like
but all silly. Is it about Dragon Ball? Like, no shit.
yeah.
No
Um
way. It's about Dragon Ball. No, but yeah.
it basically is just a Dragon Ball in a nutshell, like literally entirely, because basically the whole game is that you play as your own character, literally your own self, and you go through timelines and different dimensions to basically the way I see it is prevent canon events from being disrupted, basically.
Oh
Like
my God. It's
Spider-Man.
like Spider-Man. You know that came like that before, probably, right?
Yeah, no, I did. But even that, it's kind of like that. You know what I mean? And basically, you do is yeah. Basically, the main story is that it's about you preventing like this guy. His name's like Fu. From like disrupting events from different like movies that are non-canon, even canon stuff. You have to prevent him from disrupting it.
Yeah.
And basically, each mission is kind of like a what if scenario if you think about it. So
Oh,
for example,
nice.
so if you think about it, if like let's say that guy he goes back to like the fight between Goku and Piccolo,
Yeah.
he might make Goku and Piccolo evil, and the only one that's like the most normalist there could be like Raditz, basically.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, or for example, he could do this on purpose. He can make all three of them really strong on purpose and go against each other,
Yeah.
just so that basically like the fight goes on longer, and for basically like yeah, stuff to not go the way it's supposed to.
Huh.
And yeah, and so like that's basically the game. I actually thought it was pretty fun. The gameplay's not that bad, actually. I thought it was going to be very, very similar to like the Budokai Tenkaichi games and like the mechanics, because you know how in those type of games, let's say I choose Yamcha and then you choose like Broly, and then I try to attack you, and Broly takes like 1% damage, but I take like 1,000% damage or something.
Yeah, it's all broken. Just depending on who you pick.
Yeah. Here, on the other hand, it seems like that's not how it works. Here, it kind of is similar to a fighting game, but
Hmm.
it's more Virtua Fighter kind of style. And so, what I did think was that was kind of cool because it doesn't make you feel like, oh man, if I play as this character, I'm just completely screwed. And so yeah, like when you start off the game and you try to fight certain things that are way stronger than you can fight those threats. That's the cool thing too. You can fight those threats.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so yeah, that's pretty much what the game is. It was actually pretty fun. Um, Obviously I haven't gotten really deep into the story because I was kind of playing with a friend to kind of level up in a sense.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's pretty fun, and I think it's cool how you can customize your own character. My
Yeah, isn't
character,
this the one where like the guys from Team Four Star do some of the voices or something for some of like the character selection or something?
I think so. I
I
think they,
I, I think so, right? I think that's what I remember. I heard
mhm,
they're in there. They have some like voices where there's like a voice that obviously sounds kind of like the Nappa voice and stuff like that, right? I think.
I think. I'm not sure, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think
Um,
that's what I remember hearing. I'm not like 100%, but I think that sounds like something I remember from back when it first came out.
yeah, that would be pretty cool. If I
Yeah,
like check right now and then like it's just they're in there, you know?
yeah,
Um, but yeah, I think it's pretty cool, you know? Um,
nice. So it's simple. It's not like it's super crazy. It's not like learning a fighting game itself. We have to learn all the moves and stuff. But it is still, like you said, it's not like super like broken and simple either. It's still like, okay, you actually have to like, plan your moves out and like fight and level up and because it's like missions and all sorts of stuff like that, right?
mhm.
It's set, but it's kind of like based on like these what if scenarios and stuff like that.
Yeah, like basically like the story mode and like the missions you do, they're like basically the equivalent of like yeah, like what if scenarios if you think about it.
That's cool. That's a good, I think I remember hearing some stuff that the game was fine, so like people had
Hmm.
fun with it and all sorts of stuff. I guess it's been a while, right? But that's cool though. Cool, cool, cool.
Yeah. And I did do two other things, and these I didn't play them, but I did watch them because they're both of them are animes. Um,
Nice.
I watched episode one of Darling in the Franxx. That's what I watched.
Oh, snaps.
Yeah, so that's an unexpected, thing
Yeah,
I
that
did.
just came out of nowhere. I thought you were gonna be like, oh, I watched another episode of that one thing you had been watching for the last few weeks, Tenchi Muyo or whatever. You're like, no, no,
Yeah,
Jolly and the Franks. Just watched the first episode. Like, oh, okay. So
yeah,
how did
because
that go? What'd you think of it?
I thought it was pretty good. I think it's I like the way everything's going. Um,
I'm sorry. It's just that it came out so long ago. I mean, relatively, and then just knowing the directions it goes, it's just
it doesn't go
ah.
well or what?
I don't want to ruin it for you. So obviously watch it for yourself all the way. It's not even that long. Form your own
Okay.
opinion. But a lot of people feel it should have stopped at a certain point. And after
Yeah.
that, they kind of feel like it kind of like, like jump with the shark, whatever they call it, when it kind of like just gets weird.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It feels like it's one of those things that has like a lot of potential. And then unfortunately, like it kind of like just doesn't I don't know how to explain it. Like I don't know, for real quick, explain to people kind of like what the premise and like what happens in the first episode, and I can kind of maybe go from there. I'll try not to spoil it, I guess.
Okay. So basically it takes place in this like dystopian society
Yeah.
where basically the role of children, it depends on them being like pilots for these mechs, which if you guys are wondering why that sounds familiar,
I know a lot of fucking anime do that. That's why.
yeah,
If there's
that
mechs, if it's a mecha anime, child soldiers all the time, man. Come on.
yeah, right. And
Yeah.
so, and I was thinking of 𝐸𝐤𝐤𝐿, so that's why I also clicked. I'm like, so if you guys are wondering why that sounds familiar, it's because we talked about another one.
Jeez.
Um, but yeah, basically, it's this whole thing where yeah, it's about these child soldiers, and there's this kid. His name is Hero, right? That's his name, like Hero. Um,
I don't remember because I always just remember their numbers. You know what I mean?
oh yeah, it's
Uh,
Hero.
yeah, it is Hero. They always call him 016 or whatever.
hmm
You know,
and basically, he's this kid that like in the first episode, it's kind of revealed that he was a potential pilot, but that he lost his ability to synchronize with his partner because in this universe, in order to pilot like a mech, which are called Franxx, you have to be synchronized with a partner. And I guess he lost his ability to do that. And what happens is that everyone's kind of trying to give him another shot at doing it, but he doesn't want to do it. And while that's happening, this girl, he runs into this girl with like horns on her head, and
and
her
pink
name,
hair. It's very
and
important she has pink hair.
yeah, it's very important that she has pink hair, guys. Okay. And her name is 02. And basically, what's weird is when he gets introduced to her, she's like swimming, but she eats a fish. I mean, she catches a fish.
Yeah, she's literally fishing like an animal, just like,
Like, yeah,
super naked, just swimming around, catches a fish in her mouth.
it's weird. Yeah.
It's pretty
And
interesting.
there's this whole thing. Yeah, there's this whole thing where yeah, she catches it and then like she like spits it out straight out and she like licks herself, but then she licks the dude.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's
She marks her
weird.
territory.
Yeah, she marks her territory basically. And we find out not that long like afterwards that there's like she has like a partner already because I guess she is like a pilot, but her like partner, he looks all screwed up and his body's all like bro is like in the hospital, like that's what his body looks like.
Yeah.
And basically he tells Hero to stay away from 02 because each and every single time him and 02 try to like sync together, basically things go wrong all the time. And like
Mhm.
he always gets injured. And so what happens is like basically I guess Hero and 02 kind of fall in love with each other at like first sight. And so he's kind of like, well, no, like I don't want to like leave her alone. But he kind of still does because he's kind of obligated not to like interact with her. And by the end, because he doesn't want to be a pilot, he tries to leave. But then this attack happens from like another mech, and the dude kind of dies, the guy who's with 02. And basically, 02 convinces him to be her partner. And when they do like kiss each other at the end, it shows that they be kind of like sync up perfectly and they kind of activate their mech's like true form. And they kill the monster like right there and then at the end of like
Yeah.
the episode. hmm
Yeah.
And yeah, that's pretty much the first episode, literally in like a nutshell.
Yeah. So, trying to think of how much to say without like just totally ruining it.
Yeah.
So yeah, what you described, yeah, just crash course, yeah, starting the Franks, dystopian future where there's these, this is what you kind of forgot to mention, there's these giant monsters, they're called Klaxosaurs.
hmm
And basically because of the attacks by the Klaxosaurs, humanity, they have to like live on like the surface, but it's all destroyed. They live in like these giant like fortresses that like move around or something like that. And basically, yeah, children, they are raised like in little almost like groups, right? Because like
hmm
Hero and all his other like fellow kids or whatever, the children, teens, whatever you want to call them, they're just like a small group of like what, like let's say like 8 people, right? Something like
hmm
that. I don't remember how many, but the point is it's like a small group. Because basically we don't know where all the adults are. We just know that the children are in this one area and that they're the ones who are trained to fight the Klaxosaurs using the Franks. And they're called Franks after Dr. Franxx, who invented them.
hmm
And basically, yeah, it's really weird because it's like, yes, for some reason, it has to be that only, um, these kids, I don't remember the exact reason, you can look into it, but, you have to be like that certain age to be able to like pilot the Franks. And it can only be done if it's a male and female pair. That's like an important part. It has to be a male and female pair. and it has to be, kind of like a flower. The males, the pilot, they're called the piston or whatever, and the girls are the salmon. I think it's like
Mm,
flower terms, right? I can learn. Hold on, I think I
hmm
have it right here. Let me look real quick. Where is it? Where is it? It's not like that important, but let me just see if I can find it real quick. Yeah. The males are the stamen and the females are the pistol, and it has to do with like a flower, right? And
hmm
basically, this is where it gets kind of silly. That's where it got a lot of people's attention. When they get into the Franxx, the guys are like piloting it. They're sitting in the chair, and the girls are like bent over. So it
Yeah,
looks like they're kind of doing it like doggy style. And I don't know, man.
yeah.
It's just the way it works. It's fucking stupid. But that's kind of what makes you kind of like, okay, what's happening here? And like, why does it have to be like a male female pair? What's up there? Whatever. And so the whole thing, that's where I feel it's a missed opportunity. So, well, I'll get back to that. Okay. So it's a whole male female pair. Obviously, that's how the only way they can pilot it. And then, like you said, Hero, he's like this prodigy. He was no longer able to synchronize with his partner. And so they weren't able to like graduate or whatever. And that's when he's like all sad as the rest of his squad is graduating. That's when he runs into 02, who came there with Dr. Franxx because they were going to like
hmm
test out like a new mech or something. And then we find out that, do they talk about her origin or not yet?
No.
Okay, I guess I won't run that part. The point is, there's something special about her. And the other thing you do have to know is, like you said, she has all these partners, but things always go bad for them. And so that's why it's like dangerous for, Hero supposedly to team up with her. And we're going to see what happens there because she always causes misfortune to her partners. And yes, she gets, her partner like dies or whatever. She's just kind of flying it solo. She gets hurt. Hero says that he'll help her and they get together and they kiss. And the mech, like it unleashes its powers and they kill that first Klaxosaur or whatever. Um, Missed potential. I'm not even going to mention how it jumps the shark later. Like I said, I'll let you get to that part. You can describe it once you watch the whole thing and your thoughts on that. However, just the missed potential, I will say that part. It feels like the whole thing is like this really interesting metaphor about relationships and gender roles. And trust me, once you watch that second episode, because the whole thing with 02, that all her partners die, and then Hero, he volunteered to be her partner. And did you know I say anything interesting about when he got in the mech with her?
Uh, no, I didn't notice, unfortunately. I
Okay,
just
so
saw it was
yeah,
sparkly.
I think it'll be like in this episode 2 where you'll know something interesting, like that makes you go, wait a minute, but if the dynamic's supposed to work this way, how did that work? And so you think, oh, is this whole thing going to be like this metaphor that maybe talks about gender roles and it's trying to, maybe like, sometimes gender roles are subverted and stuff like that. And then it never does that. It ends up being just like a basic bitch. And there's like a lot of stuff that it could explore, it never does. So yeah, there's some stuff where it feels like it was going to be deeper than it was, and it jumps the shark and it gets weird. But for now, just enjoy it. I think up to a certain part, it is really interesting. I think it is worth watching. I don't think it's terrible, but trust me, when you get to a certain part, I think you'll notice, and we can talk more about it then. For now, though, just
Yeah.
enjoy it. It is an interesting premise. I think 02 is a cool character. Her and Ichigo, I mean, her and Ichigo, her and Heroes, her relationship thing is interesting, and some of their pilots, kind of seeing their thing is all right, but trust me, at some point it's gonna get kind of weird, but we can talk about it when we get there. So,
Alrighty.
but for now, just enjoy it and watch it. And I'm interested to see you keep watching it so we can talk about it, in the coming weeks or whatever. So,
Yeah.
cool. And then was that it for your week? Oh no, you said there was one more thing, right? Because the two anime was the other one.
hmm I feel like this is where, because I'm going to transition to let you let it transition to yours.
Oh yes, okay, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, yeah.
But I watched Scott Pilgrim, the anime.
Yeah, it's called
I
Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. Yeah.
Yeah, Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. I saw that. I saw the first episode.
Ah, okay, but just the first one.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, so you saw like you get to kind of like the crazy thing at the end of the first episode, then, right?
hmm
Okay, so I'm not gonna talk about it too much. I don't want to like really spoil it. We'll leave it. That way if anyone doesn't know, they can kind of watch for themselves. What's special about the anime is that the creator had said that it wasn't gonna be a retread of like the movie and stuff, right? Like he had said he wanted to kind of, I don't remember exact words, but he was always very honest that it wasn't just going to be the same story, but he wanted to like tell some different things, right?
That's what he
And I
said.
think the way a lot of people interpreted it is that, oh, since the movie kind of went a different direction from like a certain point forward, I guess they thought, oh, they're going to tell some of that story that they didn't tell in the movie. Like there's a whole thing with, 𝐦𝐤𝐤𝐳's father, for instance, that we don't really
Hmm.
see in the movie. There's a whole thing with some of the characters and some of their stuff that we don't really get to see, right? Because it feels like the movie
Yeah.
just covers like a couple of days or something. And I think like the manga, graphic novel thing, it covers like way longer. So I guess a lot of people expect it was gonna be stuff like that. So that's one too much. All you really need to know is that this ends up actually being like a alternate universe slash sequel thing.
Hmm.
So I'm not gonna get too into it, but if you're thinking of I'm gonna watch this because I have not watched the other things first, terrible idea. You're not gonna really understand what's happening. This is definitely for the fans that already are familiar with the stuff. That way, this version gives you new content, basically.
Hmm.
Because yeah, if you try to be like, oh, well, I haven't watched the movie, I haven't, read the graphic novels, but I've, heard some stuff or whatever, I'm gonna watch this because it's like the definitive like adaptation. No, you need to actually go look at their stuff first, then come back to this. That way you can appreciate it because you can appreciate all the changes and like the stuff it is differently. And that's all I'll really say.
Hmm.
However, as someone who did watch all the episodes, I only watched the first episode. I did watch up to like, the whole thing, all 8 episodes. I liked it. Would it have been kind of cool if we had gotten the actual, adaptation of the graphic novel, like the whole thing? It would have been cool, sure. But as someone who's already read the graphic novel, who's played the game, and who's watched the movie, I kind of
Hmm.
don't mind this being different because it's like, yeah, I guess it kind of just would have been the same thing again. You know what I mean? And in this way, I get to see like the characters and like different situations and settings and like the stories like remixed. You know what I mean? It does its own thing. So I actually kind of like it. You know what I mean? As weird as that
Hmm.
is. So I like it. I thought, like it was funny. I thought like the animation was pretty good, different fight scenes and stuff. I liked, like the story, like the decisions and stuff was interesting. I thought it was really cool getting to see more of the characters and stuff, doing different things. And the music's really interesting because each episode has like a different song at the end.
Hmm.
Like one of the episodes literally has Ring of Fire by Johnny Cash as like the ending theme. And I'm like, that is so interesting. Like uh each episode has a different song at the end. I didn't like think that was gonna happen. And then one of them has like the cast, but it sounds like Mortal Kombat-ish, where it says like, like where it says like the name of each like fighter and stuff. So I don't know.
Yeah.
They do some like funny stuff, you know what I mean? But I enjoyed it. I liked it. I liked this new direction. I thought it was really cool. And yeah, they had kind of hinted I don't remember where it was. It was like some announcement or like some like interview or something about maybe like a second like season. Like this wouldn't be it. And yeah, once you watch it, you kind of see like, oh, they do leave it kind of open. I am
Hmm.
curious if they'll do more, so that's really
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Like I hope they do. I think it would be really cool. But yeah,
Yeah.
I just will say that, if you have not engaged in their material, you should, because if you're just like, oh, like I said, I'm gonna like go into this will be my first experience, not a good experience for you, I think. I think it's definitely for people who have watched all the stuff. And like I said, there's like an extra little like treat. It's in like a new content.
Yeah. Because I've seen the movie. I've seen a bit of the stuff from the comics, from the graphic novel. I've seen a
Yeah,
bit
yeah.
of that. So I kind of do have already, I already know some of the stuff.
Yeah, so for you, I think it would be fine. I think,
Hmm.
jump into this, you would know what's happening. You could appreciate like the characters and what like happens that's different. But for someone who like literally has like almost
Yeah.
no, familiarity with this, like yeah, if they're like, oh, I'm gonna watch it, I'm gonna start here, not a good idea.
Yeah, I definitely recommend that, yeah, you look at everything else and, or at least like look at some of the stuff and watch like the movie to get an idea. And then like go into this knowing that there's going to be like stuff that you might have to look at in the graphic novel, and stuff like
Exactly,
that.
exactly. Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. But yeah, I liked it. I recommend it. Like I said, if you're already a fan. And like I said, I just think it's fun. I had fun. I binged the whole thing. And I really do hope that they get like a second season or whatever, some sort of continuation. I think that would be pretty cool. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Then besides that, I already talked about a little bit about Super Mario RPG. The other thing I played a bit, not too much either, because obviously, like I said, they just came out, so I just kind of was able to like dive into both of them a little bit and check them out. Is that I played Persona 5 Tactica,
Oh, nice.
which is the Persona 5 spin-off that
Hmm.
just came out, and the whole point of that is that um I don't even really know what's really happening yet because I didn't get too far. But basically, it starts that, oh, the Phantom Thieves, they're hanging out at the cafe and it's like wintertime. And then out of nowhere, like there's like a bunch of shaking and things feel like they're kind of weird in the cafe. And when they go outside, they're back in their Phantom Thieves costumes. And there's like these like shadows running around, looking kind of like soldiers or whatever. And yeah, basically there's like this evil lady that her name's Marie,
Yeah.
and she is like this like she's kind of like a dictator, I guess. Like she's trying to like rule everything, and she I don't know. The whole theme seems to be like about revolution, and it definitely seems to kind of have like some like French Revolution motifs. And so yeah, basically she's just this lady that she like enslaves and like brainwashes everybody, and she controls the shadows and she wants to just like rule everything. And there's like a hint, like, oh, it's because she like wants to like create like this perfect wedding or something. We don't really know what the deal is there. And yeah, and then so basically you're there and you help this character named I think it was Arena, I think that was her name, Arena, and that she's kind of the one fighting the cause. She's like the rebel uh army or whatever fighting against Marie and these
Yeah.
I think they're called like the Legionnaires or something like that, and you are helping her. And yeah, it's a tactical RPG. So if you've played, stuff like XCOM or stuff like Mario and Rabbids, it's that kind of game where you move around like a grid and you have to choose how you're going to attack enemies, that sort of thing. You have
Hmm.
to like plan your moves and stuff. But it also has like some kind of like RPG elements, like in the sense of like you can like buy stuff and upgrade and stuff like that. Like you like go back to like the base and you can like save and like do stuff, talk to people, that sort of thing. And then you go back out there and you do some more fighting. And
Hmm.
so far it's interesting. It's very different, you know what I mean? But I like it so far. I hope to keep playing it. I hope to see maybe what like the deal is, because I'm interested in like what the story is, like how they got here, how it ties into anything else in Persona 5. If it does, it might not, 'cause it's a spin-off, and just, see what the deal is. So I'm enjoying it so far. I think it's cool. It's just kind of weird that, yeah, I don't know why they just go with that like chibi art style they kind of use for like the Persona Q games. Kind of weird choice, but I don't mind it too much. It's fine. It's whatever. And I'm enjoying it so far. Like I said, I haven't gotten too far, but I'm hoping to play more and kind of see more of the game and what it has to offer and stuff. But so far, it's just kind of cool to be back with, the Phantom Thieves and all that. And yeah, after that, the next big thing is the Persona 3 Reloaded, the remake, which I'm also
Hmm.
excited for. But I really do hope that this is enough of like spin-offs for I'm unless I'm hoping that after the reload we finally get news of Persona 6. The only other thing that I would allow as a spin-off that I wouldn't be mad at is if they finally give us like a Persona 5 arena, which is they did with the Persona 4, where they made like a fighting game, but it brought back cast from the third game.
Oh
Like
yeah, I know.
they're older now and actually progress some of like the story when they're interacting. That is a spinoff I would be excited for. If they did a Persona 5 Arena where they bring back, three and the characters from 3 and 4 and they're all older now, interacting with the characters from 5 and they like progress the story, that I would be excited for. But besides that, I kind of hope we get something new after this and the remake. I mean, I hope we get Persona 6 finally. I think it's been long enough.
Yeah, 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 same.
Yeah. But yeah, that was it for my week. Played 2 games, watched, Scott Pilgrim, the whole little anime series, and I had a fun week. I'm pretty busy, but I had a good time. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it for my week.
Nice.
Yeah. Alrighty. So that being said, let's jump over to the news now. The first news story is something that I actually missed it when it came out. I didn't find out about this till like way later. I am, of course, talking about the Nintendo Indie World. You know, they had like a little direct on the 14th. I did not hear about this until like days later. I'm gonna be like really honest, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but we'll get into that in a moment. Yeah, as the title of the article states, Nintendo Indie World, all the news, trailers, and announcements. Not really gonna talk about any of the stuff. You can check it out for yourself. Link will be in the description below. Because honestly, the games look fine, but there wasn't anything that stood out to me too much. There's one which I'll mention in a moment. But yeah, I just want to say that I was just really surprised because usually when there's gonna be like an indie world, I feel like I hear about it. And sometimes I'm even like, oh, I might check it out and I'll make a video about it. And then I hear people like discussing it and stuff. And this time that didn't really happen. Maybe because
Yes.
it was like shorter. Honestly, it was a pretty short indie direct. Wasn't it only like 14 minutes?
Yeah, I was also gonna announce that like this was literally announced like 2 days before it came out, by the way,
On
too.
which they always do though. So that part isn't surprising, but I don't know. It just felt really out of nowhere. And I feel like no one really talked about it afterwards. I don't know. But yeah, the one thing I will mention, like I said, you guys can look up the rest of the stuff up. It will be in the, article. The one thing that did stand out to me that I do want to mention is
Hmm.
that if you watch it, I think the very first thing that they talk about, Shantae Advance Risky Revolution,
Hmm.
which I believe we did talk about back during it was during like the time of all the conferences when they had like the limited run games or whatever.
Hmm.
That yeah, that game that got announced that it's the original sequel to the original Game Boy Color Shantae that it was supposed to be on Game Boy Advance, but then they got it canceled, and then they were bringing it back, and they said like, "Oh, we're gonna bring it back, and it's gonna be like an actual Game Boy Advance cartridge." Basically, yeah, what they talked about in this little indie direct is that it's also coming to Nintendo Switch, and I believe also Steam.
Hmm. I had a
It's
feeling.
some sort of PC port. That part I'm not too sure about because I like saw it later. But at least during the direct they talked about the Nintendo Switch port.
Hmm.
And yeah, it was just one of those things where like I'm not surprised. Like for all
Me
people who are kind
neither.
of like,
Yeah,
oh my god, is it really gonna only be on like Game Boy Advance? Like
they never said that.
how will I like play it? This and that, and like and the whole time I'm thinking like, of course they're gonna put on other stuff. You know what I mean? Like that's just like the gimmick because that's the system it was supposed to originally come out on. Well, of course, like they would have to be like dumb to not port to other things. Like right now is probably like the most popular that Shantae has been. Like she's been doing really well because of the Switch, you know what I mean? And she's
Hmm.
being like really well on all systems, honestly. Like from
Hmm.
half Genie forward, she's been doing really good, honestly.
Yeah,
Because half Genie Hero came out on like basically every system.
and almost everyone got like
Yeah, a lot of people
yeah.
played it, and it even got released as like, I think it was what like a PS Plus thing at some point, right?
Hmm.
And then after that, same thing with Seven Sirens. I think it also, came out to like all the systems and like I think it's like on Game Pass, I think or something. I don't remember too good, but the point is it's like it's available basically everywhere. So of course they're gonna like put it on Switch. They ported all the other games. It's doing very well. Um, you know what I mean? But it was still a fun
Hmm.
announcement. You get like a little trailer, it's really cute. And then afterwards they had a like a little interview thing with the creators with Matt. What's his name?
Yeah, it's Matt Boson or
Yeah, something like that. So I'm not really sure how you pronounce his name, unfortunately. He said it in
hmm.
the little interview thing segment, but him and his wife, he's like, oh, I'm the like uh whatever of Way Forward. And she's like, I'm like the creator of Shantae. And then like, they talked about how like, yes, this game had gotten canceled, but it's coming back. And we have a lot of like the staff that came back to like help that I guess were originally there or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And it was just kind of fun just seeing them announce it and like they show like the footage and stuff, and it looks really good
Hmm.
on it. It looks really cool.
It
And so yeah,
does.
that's just really exciting, and I definitely want to play it.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I'll probably play on the Switch. That's what I'm thinking. I would like to get my hands on that like Game Boy Advance cartridge if it's possible, but I don't know. Limited run games, it's hard to get your hands on any of those. But whatever.
Hmm.
If at the very least I'll get on Switch, and I'm excited. And yeah, I'm just loving that. the series is still going. Like we got the fifth game, Seven Sirens. But now it's funny because that technically becomes like the sixth game because this goes after the first one. You know what I mean? So it's kind of funny. Like, oh
Mhm.
no, now it's like the sixth game in the series, which is really funny.
Yeah,
But yeah, I'm excited. I think this is cool.
same.
And for anyone wondering, like, oh, when is it coming? It just said so far in
Next year.
2024. Yeah,
Yeah.
like no release date yet, but sometime next year. I think that's pretty cool. And yeah, I hope this does well. I hope people enjoy it. And since this one, not to say it's not any work, because I said they had to like kind of, you know, revive it and work on it. But since this was already like made and they kind of like revived it and then it's like kept going, like they're not starting from scratch, I would think. I do hope we get like a new Shantae game like after Seven Sirens soon too, you know what I mean? But
Hmm.
at least for now we're getting this. That's a fun little jump back in time.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Besides that, like I said, there's other games that got announced. I think they looked cool, but nothing really jumped out to me per se. We'll see in the future if some of these come back or something. I'm like, oh yeah, it's that one game that I heard about, and maybe there's something worth checking out. But for now, it's just like they look fine. We'll see what happens when they actually come out if I check them out.
yeah. Hmm.
Jumping over to our next news story. This one, as the title of the article states, the Game Awards 2023 nominees announced. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Basically, the voting is open right now. It's going to be open until December 6th. That's when it's going to close. And then the very next day on December 7th is when they're going to have the Game Awards. And we've talked about this like other times. I know a lot of
Hmm.
people kind of hate on these little award show thingies and they say like, oh, it's just, like a chance for like everyone to kind of like circle jerk and, a lot of games that deserve it don't even get the attention and blah, blah, blah. And it's just consumerism. And, I'm not saying they're not lying. It's true, but I still think it can still be fun. It's still nice to
Hmm.
see some of these games get celebrated. And it's not like the end all be all. If there's a game you like that doesn't get announced, any attention, it's fine. It's just obviously only some can make it in. And I don't know. I always try to look at the positive side of things and just have fun with what we get. You know what I mean? And if there's games that don't deserve the win, well, it's not like it's saying like, no, this is the best game, period. Like it's in the record books now. You know what I mean? And it's not like, oh my God, there's a game that you like that didn't get any attention. That's fine. That doesn't mean that those games are like horrible now, that they don't deserve the attention. You know what I mean? Like it's whatever.
They don't
Uh,
deserve the attention.
yeah. But point is, I'm excited. I always like looking at these. I always like seeing what they announce and what trailers we get. So we'll see how that goes. Uh, Listen to some of the nominees, I guess. It's funny because right at the top near the title, it does mention like the little subtitle. Nintendo is the Game Awards most nominated publisher in 2023. So that
Hmm.
was pretty interesting. That's pretty cool. And yeah, I guess just kind of jumping around through some of the categories. Game of the year, which means like what was like the best game this year, that people love the most, the most best experience and all that stuff. Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, Marvel Spider-Man 2, Resident Evil 4, and Mario Bros. Wonder. Which
Hmm.
yeah, I mean this is a pretty big like thing. I don't really know what might win, honestly. I mean, maybe Zelda. I could see a lot of people maybe Zelda, but
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's a hard one, you know what I mean? And then best game direction, again, Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, Marvel Spider-Man 2, and Super Mario Bros. Wonder. And as it says here, it's the one that has like the best like creative vision and innovation and stuff. And I mean, Alan Wake 2, I don't think so, even though it's like supposed to be a good game. I haven't looked at it yet, but it doesn't like it's just it's another like horror game, right? It's just like it's a
Hmm.
nice continuation. But like Tears of the Kingdom does a lot of very creative stuff, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I can maybe see that one winning, you know what I mean? But it does depend, obviously, you know. Then best narrative, Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Cyberpunk 2077, Phantom Liberty, which is the DLC, Final Fantasy 16 or Marvel Spider-Man 2. I mean, all of them do have a pretty good story. We'll have to see how that
Hmm.
one goes. Then best score in music, Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Final Fantasy 16, Hi-Fi Rush, and Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.
Hmm.
All of them have pretty good music. I could kind of see it being between maybe the Hi-Fi Rush and Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, because
Hmm.
Hi-Fi Rush was like a rhythm music game, you know what I mean? And then the Zelda games, just in general, always have really good music.
They
So
always have outstanding, yeah.
we'll just see how that goes. Then let's see. Best performance. It says Ben Starr in Final Fantasy 16, Cameron Monaghan in Star Wars Jedi Survivor, Idris Elba in Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty, Melanie Liburd in Alan Wake 2, Neil Newborn in Baldur's Gate 3, or Yuri Lowenthal in Marvel Spider-Man 2. Some of these I haven't even looked at yet, so I'm not too sure. But I mean, at least from what I think I know of some of these, I mean, they are pretty good performances, honestly. So, we'll see how
Hmm.
that goes. And then let's see, what's another one that's worth mentioning? I guess, best indie game. Cocoon, Dave the Digger, Dredge, Sea of Stars, and Viewfinder. I've heard a lot about Dave the Digger, have not checked it out yet. And then Sea of Stars is a pretty fun RPG, so we'll see. And then best debut indie game, basically the same list: Cocoon, Dredge, Peaks of Tower, Venba, and Viewfinder. So we'll,
Hmm.
we'll we'll see. And I actually gotta admit, I'm not too familiar with all these indies this year, because I feel like usually like the list, I'm like, oh yeah, I've played like almost all of them like other years. This year, not so much. So I should probably check those out within like the next month. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I guess the last one I'll mention real quick is best family game, and of course it's almost always Nintendo games. So Super Mario Bros. Wonder, Sonic Superstars, Pikmin 4,
Let's go.
Party Animals, and Disney Illusion Island. So
Yeah.
obviously two of them are Nintendo. Honestly, I'm surprised. Other years it's like almost like 4 out of the 5 are Nintendo, right?
Hmm.
So low competition this year. Two of them are Nintendo, one of them's Sega, one of them is Disney, and then one of them is Recreate Games, which is like a newcomer. So
Yeah.
but yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool. And let's see. I think that's like all like the really big ones, the most interesting ones. So, but
Those
there you
are,
go,
yeah.
guys. Yeah, there you go. As you can see, there's some pretty interesting, there's a pretty interesting lineup. And like I said, you can vote for your favorites. It's open until December 6th. And I will definitely be watching, and we'll probably do our podcast, after, and we'll probably like have like a whole podcast dedicated just what was part of the Game Awards. Cause like I said, I always like watching it and seeing what got announced and what won and stuff. So,
Hmm.
yeah. All right. After that, this is a little short one, but I still thought it was worth mentioning. It's something that I'm excited for. It says Gurren Lagann films to screen in North America in January 2024. So basically, at a panel at Anime New York City, there was this panel that was dedicated to the anniversary of Kill la Kill and Gurren Lagann. And they announced that, yeah, I guess as part of the anniversary, they're going to re-release the films um of Gurren Lagann, like the anime series, because it was like two different movies, which is kind of like the whole Evangelion thing. Like the first movie was the kind of like the recap of like the first part of like the
Yeah.
anime, and then like the second one was the one that was kind of like the original content. Kind of what they did here, where like the first one again is the same thing. It kind of covers like the first half of the anime, and the second one covers like the second half plus like a few like added things, right? And so basically, as it says here, it says Gurren Lagann, the movie Childhood's End, will screen on January 16 and 17. And Gurren Lagann, the movie The Lights in the Sky Are Stars, will screen on January 23 and 24. That should be available in both subbed and dubbed format. And it
Nice.
even says the dub format will be the first time the films are dubbed. So that's pretty interesting.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So I'm excited for this. I would definitely love to go check those out. I think that would be really cool. I love Gurren Lagann. It's one of my favorite series. Like whoever has not checked it out, you need to check it out. It is awesome. It's one of those anime that, man, it's just like really, it's hype incarnate. Like it's just so cool. The characters, the story, the character growth, like the cool factor, the mechs, the fights, like, oh man, it's just awesome, dude. It's one of my favorites. The music's really good. Like, goddamn, dude.
Nice.
And yeah, and so I would like to go check these out. I think that would just be really fun to go watch them like in a theater. And I don't know, it's like next year, so it's a couple months away, but I like to check it out. I think it'd be fun. And I just thought I'd throw that out there because it's like, yeah, I mean, if you're a fan of Gurren Lagann, that's a cool opportunity. And if you aren't really familiar with the series, the movies are like recaps basically of like the anime. So you could always watch the movies. That's like a fun thing to do, you know? So I would just say check it out. It's one of those things I would definitely recommend. Gurren Lagann is like one of, it's a GOAT. It's one of the greatest of all times. And like I said, I don't know who else will be interested in this, but I'm definitely excited for this. And I hope that people check it out, you know? So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then our last news story, it's another little anime one. Not too much news yet, not too much details, but I am again excited for it. I think it's pretty cool. As the title of the article states, Great Pretender anime gets razbliuto sequel in 2024. So yes, not too long ago, there was an anime called The Great Pretender, and it's this really interesting anime that has to do with if you ever watched anything like Ocean's 11, that kind of series where it has to do with like heists, right? And like all these like plans and ripping off people who deserve it and like gentlemen thieves and stuff like that. It's an anime about that. And it's it's a pretty fun anime. And basically it ended, but it did end in a way where it was kind of like, could there be more? They left it kind of open. And it's been a few years, right? And there hadn't been any news of it. And now they just released that, there's going to be a sequel in 2024. And it says it's going to release worldwide. It's going to be distributed by Netflix once again, because that's how they did with the first season. And that is, I think, all the information we really have. It has, some characters on the cover. Like there's going to be some returning characters, that sort of thing. But interestingly enough, it doesn't look like all the characters from like the first season are there. So it's like, does that mean that not all the characters are coming back? So it is kind of interesting to know.
Yeah.
But pretty cool stuff. So if you watched it, then yeah, there you go. Good news. There's going to be a second season. And if not, then there is time to jump in now. That way you can prepare for the, next season. So pretty cool, I think.
Nice.
Yeah. And then I'm just reading at the bottom. It said the manga went on hiatus in September 2020. So yeah, it's one of those things where it had gone into hiatus. But I guess, now, well, actually, yeah, funny enough, it doesn't even say if it doesn't actually say it. I guess the manga might still be in hiatus because it's kind of funny. It doesn't like mention anything else. But yeah, I guess it's one of those things where like there's a manga adaptation and that's on hold. But I guess in the meantime, they're making the second season because it's kind of one of those things where I think it's the opposite. Instead of being the manga first and then the anime, which happens sometimes, this is the opposite where they made the anime first and then they're like, oh, let's make a manga adaptation of it.
Nice.
So it's kind of the opposite where it's like, now the mangaka has more material for when he gets back to it, I guess. But we'll see how that goes, I guess. Because of his bad health. But interesting. Yeah, interesting.
Anime only stuff, basically.
Yeah, yeah. But there you have it. I'm excited. And like I said, maybe you should check it out. It's a thought. Alrighty, guys, that's it for the news week. As you can see, some good stuff coming up, as well as some stuff that's already kind of in the works. So that's pretty cool. With that being said, I want to transfer over to our last thing, which is the topic of the week. And that's because, piggybacking off of this last news story, what I want to talk about just really briefly is Great Pretender anime, the first season, the one that's currently out. Now, I want to go a little bit more into detail. There's not really too much to tell because obviously you kind of have to watch it. Like a lot of it's the experience itself.
Yeah.
But just to give like a little synopsis, you know what I mean? Because you might be like, okay, he's talking about second season, but I haven't even watched the first season. Like, what is this about? Basically, like I said, it has to do with heists. And it has to do with there's this character. His name is Makoto Edamura, and he is a con man. He's from Japan, young dude. He's a con man. And basically, he kind of starts that his dad, I guess it's the best way to start. His dad went to prison because of his like this thing he did. I won't like you'd have to watch it, but basically he went to prison, and because of his dad being in prison, that always kind of reflected bad on him, and because it reflected bad on him, if I remember, he became a con artist, and he's kind of ripping people off. He became a con man, and the point is, life's been a bit rough to him due to like stigma and stuff. And he kind of chose to go in the other direction, trying to crime because he's like, screw it. And it starts with him being like this really good con man. And his life has changed when he runs into this guy named Laurent that kind of like, like convinces him to like help him out with something. And I guess it's kind of hard to like really talk about it without like spoiling much. But the point is, there's this French guy, and he kind of like pulls him into like his world of like heist, gets him involved, and it's just this thing where it's about heist and ripping the right people off, people that deserve it. But then there's like some double crossing between the people in the little team, because it's this team called Team Confidence, that they're all like scam artists that work together. And it's just like this thing though where they kind of like like screw with each other a bit too. And it's just them going into like these different locations and like pulling off these different heists, which is really fun. Like the first one, Edamura, he's from Japan, but in the first case, which is the first 3 episodes, 4 episodes, it's about they go to like LA, and it's about trying to rip off this like drug dealer. And then like in the second case, it's about actually it's 5 episodes for the first case. Damn, that's longer than I thought. Then like the second case, which is also 5 episodes, it's about how they're in Singapore, and it has to do with races with like airplanes, and they're trying to rip off this this Turkish like these Turkish brothers, that one of them is like a pilot, and the other one I think is, I don't remember what the other one is, like he's some sort of like a tycoon or something, and it has to do with like them gambling on like the races and stuff. And then like the third one has to do with them going to London, and it's trying to rip off this like gallery owner. Like that's really fun. That one's only like 4 episodes, a little bit shorter. And then this is where, like I said, it's a little bit mixed. The last few episodes, it's about back in Japan. This is where it loses me. It's about trying to rip off like these like the Yakuza and these people that have like a trafficking ring. And oh boy, the first 3 cases are really good. The last one is not very good. And that's where, like I said, that's where I'm mixed, because the first 3 are perfect. Their peak, I would give the anime like a 10, maybe like an 11 out of 10. That's how good it is. Like the characters are great, the stories are great, the twists along the way, the visuals, the music, the voice acting, everything is great. And then you get to that last one, and it's kind of like, oof, this one's really rough. And like the story, it almost feels like not character assassination, but like close to it. And so it's like, that's what like holds me off from like totally recommending it. And that's what gives me mixed feelings, because their first 3 are perfect. And the last one, for some people, it totally kind of ruins everything. For other people, it kind of just like brings the story down. So yeah, that's where it gets kind of iffy, I'll admit.
Damn.
I know, it's rough. But at least the first 3 are really good. And the 4th one, I mean, I don't know, maybe that there's going to be a sequel. Maybe it kind of helps things out. But we're going to have to see how the sequel goes, because if it goes in a certain direction that kind of follows that 4th case, oh man, that's going to make it so this anime started really good and then just kind of went bad from there, which is really sad.
Damn, that does suck, man.
I don't know. We're going to have to see. But at the very least, those first 3 cases, which is like the first how many episodes out of this like 24 episode thing, the first 14 episodes are beautiful. They're perfect. So
Damn.
I don't know. Those first 14 episodes are beautiful. And man, I just love it because it's called The Great Pretender, and they literally use as the main ending song, they use Freddie Mercury's cover of the song.
That's super cool.
Oh man, that's what I'm saying. This is so good, dude. Like so good. I want to give it like an 11 out of 10. But then that last case, those last episodes, oh man, it puts it. It brings it down, man. It brings it down, but at least it's a fun ride up until then. Like I said, your results might vary. You might not like, might not take it as hard as like other people have, but I don't know. It is mixed though. Just keep that in mind. But
Bro.
yeah. So like I said, it's weird. It's hard. I've never really had like an RP strong. Like, yeah, I totally recommend it, except for like this part. You might want to stop. It's like, mm, you know.
Yeah.
But whatever, though. The point is, I think it's fun. I recommend it. You can always just stop at like episode 14 and just be like, yeah, that was a good ending. You know what I mean? You can always do that, I
Yeah.
guess. Or like I said, you can watch it and just keep that in mind and be like, okay, this last part sucked, but at least I can enjoy what it was up until then. I don't know. But yes, The Great Pretender, it's really good. Good visuals, good music. The fact that they use, Freddie Mercury's cover at the end is like peak. Stories are good characters, like really fun interactions and stuff. And like I said, if you like watching stuff like Ocean's 11 and stuff, and stuff like that, really cool. I don't know. But yeah, there you have it, guys. Great Pretender. I do recommend it. I do say check it out, but just be cautious. And as I said during like the news segments, I think it's pretty good. Because you can jump in now in time for the second season and then just see where the second season goes. So
Hmm.
check it out. I hope you do. Alrighty, guys, and that is it for this week's podcast. We are at the end. A lot of stuff to look forward to, a lot of stuff that we hope you guys check out. Next week, as always, we'll try to be back, but it is a bit iffy with the whole Thanksgiving week. That is the one thing
Hmm.
that it makes it kind of unsure if we will be back or not. Like, we'll try to, but stuff happens with Thanksgiving sometimes and being busy and all that whatnot. So if we don't have an episode next week, at least we kind of give you guys the heads up.
Hmm.
And yeah, we'll just see what else we get into because, like we said, more Mario RPG we want to play. I want to play more Persona 5 Tactica. For Legend of Jonathan, he hopefully continues the drawing the Franxx, continues with the Scott Pilgrim thing, that sort of thing. And yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that was coming out soon to be excited for.
I
Because I feel
can't think
like
of
because
anything.
I feel like a lot of stuff we were excited for kind of like just got dumped on us like these last couple weeks. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah, yeah.
but yeah, if not, we always find something to talk about. So. But yeah,
Hmm.
until then, guys, hope you guys had a good one. Hope you guys had fun listening to the podcast. Hope you guys take care, and we'll see you later. Bye bye.
Bye bye.